Welcome to Musings Television, where your host, Fabian, invites you to bloom with a new perspective that will encourage, uplift, and inspire. Here he is with today's musings.
Good morning, Instagram. Good morning, world. Let's muse. Let's vlog on the subject matter of perfection. Waiting for that perfect moment to do something, to make a move on a plan that we have had for a while. You might be going over it ever so often, thinking to yourself that the conditions are not suited to go forward with what it is that you want to go forward with. But in as much as human beings, we are imperfect. In almost everything that we do, we are not perfect. Likewise, there's no perfect situation or no perfect timing, so to speak, at which point we can make a move towards our goals and our objectives. The time is always ripe, in a sense, and that time is always now. If we consider, for example, that we don't know what the next moment will bring, and in full knowledge of that level of uncertainty with which we ultimately have to do anything that we have to do, then the only really perfect time to make a move is now. Because the next moment isn't promised to you. And just about anything could happen to any of us that would prevent us from doing that thing in the next moment, because I could either fail to exist in the next moment, or our circumstances could so substantially change that this perfect moment that we were waiting for will never ever arrive, will never ever come. And it is really demonstrative of how life is generally, and some of the things that we take for granted in life, or some of those are the same things that we want, but because it doesn't meet a particular mold, or it doesn't fit into a particular box, which is the same thing as mold really, or checklist that we have not checked all the requirements that we have created and drafted for this perfect moment or this perfect situation to arise. We just totally ignore or not proceed with that situation, that objective, that plan, that thing, because we can't tick all the boxes that we need to tick at a particular point in time to arrive really at that perfect situation, that ideal situation that we have created in our heads that says this is what we need to go forward. But it is the case that really and truly there is no perfect situation, there's no perfect timing. What we could say is that that certain situations and certain timings are opportune because of the possibilities that they present. Or the opportunities that comes with that particular moment in time. For example, in this pandemic, where a lot of persons who are businesses who would not have gone digital before have now pivoted to taking their business online because it's an opportune time. Persons are no longer, or as the pandemic was in its throes, I think we can argue now that it's kind of normalizing, so to speak, because of the vaccines being available. But in the throes of the pandemic, when people could not go in stores to gather or to make purchases, people had to go online. So that is an example of an opportune moment in time that one could argue it wasn't a perfect situation, but it was opportune for survival, opportune for expansion, and opportune for new emerging services, etc., to come to the fore. So let's not wait on perfection. If we are imperfect as we are, then we are fooling ourselves, really, if it is that we're waiting on perfect moments. Can imperfection bring forth perfection? I don't think so. I was just listening to the readings for the day, and one of the takeaways from it is that a bad tree can't bring forth good fruit. Say that again. A bad tree can't bring forth good fruit, and a good tree can't bring forth bad fruit. So in the same vein, imperfect as we are, we really are not to be looking for perfect situations, because I would want to muse that an imperfect person cannot bring forth perfection. And it's amazing how sometimes nature, for me, really just speaks to us and cements certain things, even in this very topic of perfection. Yesterday, while I was working from home, I had the doors open, naturally, because the place is hot, summer, and JPS, I'm trying to, with the AC and thing. But the place was windy, and at the same time, I wanted the breeze, but with it came dust and particles from outside into the house. But I couldn't get the breeze without also having to deal with the dust and the particles that were being blown in the wind and also coming indoors. And that in and of itself, to me, spoke to the fallacy that we have sometimes built up within ourselves about perfect situations and perfect timings. Because nothing is perfect. If it was a perfect situation for me, I would have the breeze without the dust and the particles that comes with it. And in life, that is exactly what we have to deal with. We have to take those undesirable things that comes with that good thing that we wish to have. Because again, we are not perfect, we are imperfect beings. So we ought not to expect perfection from another imperfect being, or for an imperfect being, for that matter, to create a situation or a circumstance which is perfect. Because it just naturally doesn't exist. So let us not today allow the concept of waiting for things to be perfect or the time to be right. We have to make calculated moves. We have to assess the situation to be perfect and to be right for us at any point along our journey. Because again, an imperfect being can't bring forth perfection. We have to take the good with the bad, and in taking the good with the bad too, sometimes our focus is also misplaced. Because, for example, in the situation of wanting the breeze, the coolness of the breeze, but also not wanting the debris and the dust that comes with it. If one is more focused on the debris and the dust, then you'll deprive yourself of the good that is represented by the breeze that comes to cool you down in this very humid temperature of summer in the tropics, for example, where we are here in Jamaica. But you would be so focused on preventing the dust and the debris from coming in, and in so doing deny yourself of the good of the breeze that comes to refresh you and to give you relief from the heat that you might be encountering. And that can be applied in many other similar examples, I'm sure, that you probably can think of situations where you would have denied yourself the good in that situation because you were too focused on the lesser parts of that which comes with the good. So in a sense, good and bad walks hand in hand. Good people sometimes do bad things. Bad people sometimes do good things. As human beings, I'm sure that's something that we can all relate to. There are times when we do good. There are times when we do bad. That seems to go counter to the word for this morning, which says that a good tree can't bring forth bad fruit and a bad tree can't bring forth good fruit. But isn't it our reality that we do good in as much sometimes as we do bad? But at the end of the day, let us reside in the good that we do. Let us reside in those things and circumstances, in our relationships and interaction with people. Let us reside in the good that is in them. Let us not too focus on the bad. The bad, yes, has to be addressed. But if we are too focused on the bad, then we are going to deprive ourselves of the blessings that reside in the good. And it's a bit similar to the story of, for example, the parable of the wheat, where the farmer sowed his wheat, and some bad person came and sowed thorns among the wheat. And the workers came and asked the farmer, what should they do? Should they pull up the thorns that were growing amongst the wheat? And the farmer said, no, let them grow together until harvest, when the wheat will separate itself from the thorn by the fruit that it bears, and therefore you will be able to make the distinction. That in essence is another example of us really appreciating the good in ourselves in as much as we will appreciate it in others, and the good in certain situations more so than the bad. We have to reside in the good. And to link that back to the whole subject matter of no perfect time. If we truly recognize and appreciate that we are imperfect, we all make mistakes, and because we are imperfect, we can't bring forth perfection, in as much as a bad tree can't bring forth good fruit. So what are we going to do today? We're not going to allow waiting for perfect situations to allow us not to make a move. I was tempted to say just now that we have to make the perfect situations for ourselves, but that would even go counter to what I'm saying, because if we are imperfect means that we can't expect to birth perfection, then that would go counter to the argument. But in a sense, we really have to make the situation perfect for ourselves. So in other words, we have to adapt to the current situation or the current circumstances that makes it conducive to us being able to make a move, as opposed to waiting on something that we don't know or isn't guaranteed that will happen, that will allow us to tick those boxes that we have in our heads or on our paper or even on our whiteboards, because that circumstance is not guaranteed. So we have to take what we have now, when we only really have this moment in time, to make it a perfect moment in which we move towards that thing that we have been waiting so long to move toward, because we are waiting for the perfect situation. We have to also reside in the good that we experience from certain situations, circumstances, and our interactions with others, because in residing in the good, we are able to take away and to be blessed and benefit from all the positives that good provide, as opposed to focusing on the bad, wherein we will only be frustrated, disappointed, and all the other adjectives that describe or that is a function of bad situations and bad outcomes and bad circumstances. So your perfect time or perfect time is now, because at the end of the day we only have now. We don't have tomorrow. We don't even have the next moment. When you think about it, we only have now. And as such, if we are going to achieve and succeed, we have to make our move now. We can't be waiting for an abstract perfect timing that perfect time has to be made perfect by us. No. By adjusting to the circumstances within which we find ourselves and the situations within which we are, because there are opportunities there, but just maybe we might be focusing on the thorns that are sowed among our wheat and not focused enough on the good fruit of our wheat in order to make that move. So let's make a move today. Let's unshackle ourselves from the slavery of perfection. Unshackle ourselves as we move to our emancipation celebrations from residing in the negative and rather reside in the positives, the positive of our wheat. Let's make a move and reap the benefits that will no doubt flow to us as we move in confidence, as we move in the good of our wheat, as we move to making this moment that perfect moment that only we can truly make. I trust there was something in that encouraged, that inspired, and that provided upliftment this morning for you to move towards that goal, not waiting for the perfect moment to come in an imperfect world from imperfect beings. And in doing so, recognize that in the good that comes to us, there is also likely to be undesirable, what we'd call now, undesirable parts. There could possibly be likely to be undesirable parts or things that come with that comes along with that good. The good might be represented by an individual. Again, imperfect as we are, we both do good and bad things, but that good comes out of somebody who also has bad, or comes out of a situation that could be said to also have bad parts of it. But we are going to reside in the good and unshackle ourselves from the notion of perfection, the perfect moment, the perfect individual, the perfect time, the perfect place, because in a sense we all have to curate that perfect time, that perfect situation. Can't create the perfect person. But I'm sure you get the picture. So have an inspiring, uplifting and encouraging day today. Until next time when we muse another topic to encourage, inspire, and uplift. Buenos dias.
There you have it, this week's musings. We hope you found it encouraging, inspiring, and uplifting. Let Fabian know your thoughts by leaving a comment on this video. Do spread the word and invite others to subscribe to Musings Television. Until next week, may your hearts remain ever joyful.